Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the MotUS Edge. I am Stacy Rowe, here today with Casey Jones, and our guest today is Tara Harris, our newest addition to the team. She's with the Prime All-Star Finale Executive Director and the Chief of Sales Officer for all things MotUS and CX Brands. Hey, Tara.
Hey.
Ooh. Hello. Good morning.
Very exciting.
I just have to forewarn everybody before we get started into this podcast that I don't know why, but I'm very feisty today. So I'm just letting everybody know.
Is feisty. Good news is it's only Tara and I here because she might snap on somebody today. I don't know. It's a
safe space. It's a safe space.
I never snap on people, Casey. What are you talking about?
No. It may get a little feisty text message and
Jersey girl comes out.
Normally Cole's around to take it offline and
Actually, it's usually the other way around. I'm usually the one scolding him offline, I feel like. My gosh, too funny. Well, Tara, we're super excited to have you on the team. We're super excited to have you here today on the podcast. So tell the world, I guess, a little bit about you and your history and where did you start cheering? Take us back to little Tara.
Oh my goodness. So I think just like, most of the people that end up in cheer, I started when I was really little in gymnastics and dance. And then after an injury, I think I fell off the beam, maybe hit my nose on a smaller beam. I told my mom, I think, within the next few months, like, Mom, I'm not going to be Mary Lou Retton. I'm not going to go to the Olympics. I think I just need to focus on dance. And we were in Maryland, living in Maryland at the time. So I did dance and a baton twirling group that was pretty big up there. And then we moved to Virginia Beach when I was in middle school. And I tried out for middle school cheer, when the cheering for the football team and the basketball, like that was all so much fun. I was still kind of doing dance and acro. And then my freshman year in high school, my parents said, we're moving to Kentucky. And cheerleading is so much bigger in Kentucky
yeah.
than it is, or than it was in Virginia at the time. So, at that point, I had only done middle school, high school cheer. And when we moved to Louisville, we were actually trying to land at a high school. Where are we going to go? And everybody recalled, they were like, she needs a back handspring. We go, what? Like, I can do my walkovers for days. Back handspring was a different story. So, we found this crazy little gym, a gym that just did cheerleading in Louisville, Kentucky, which is weird to us at the time. And for 2 weeks leading up to tryouts in Kentucky, I took private lessons from, this guy named James Speed, who owned a gym called
I've
GymTyme.
heard of that guy.
Trying to get my back handspring for tryouts. So, his magic worked and I made it. And then from there, I think that's really where like the cheer bug, it came in. I'm taking private lessons from a place and the University of Louisville's practicing in the background. At that time it was the likes of Brad Havermill, like just, in the gym, stunting, tumbling, at that point I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this is really cool. So yeah, I cheered through high school.
That's pretty crazy. So had you guys not moved to Kentucky, you may not have even, I don't know, most likely wouldn't have had the same journey.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that this morning. I mean, the trajectory of my life probably would have been completely different had we stayed in Virginia and not taken that path into Kentucky. It's so weird.
I don't know. I'm more caught up in your story about 2 weeks of privates to be able to make the school team, because I think that's how we all built our gyms. Goodness gracious.
I'm actually impressed that you got the back handspring to join the school team, because most kids think that they're going to come and do private lessons for 2 weeks. And it's like, that's, 99 out of 100 kids, that's not going to happen. And you were the one.
Yeah, you were the one.
I won't say it was pretty. I had bruises on my knees, but I was determined. I was like, I'm going to throw this back handspring every single time. I don't care how it looks.
It didn't matter back then.
It did not.
It's so funny how that has changed, though, in a gym, because literally, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, so many people coming into our gym, they were coming there because they wanted to make the school team. And I'm sure that's still the same in many areas, but in our area it's shifted, and it's more of the all-star team is first and the school team is typically secondary, I would argue, for most. And that's, like I said, that's not every area, but that's our area. And a distinct shift from back in the day, because the kids literally came because they wanted to be on that school team, and is exactly that. You had to have a back handspring to be there.
Yep. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, and the difference of what I was coming from in Virginia to what I was looking at in Kentucky, with just the amount of talent, and then just watching, the GymTyme teams. I think they only had 3 maybe at the time, a junior, senior, and senior co-ed. And just being in the gym, I was like, wow, this is cool.
When I did my interview with James for the book, I learned, and I thought this was really cool, that when he started GymTyme, he was coaching at the University of Louisville, and they could never get GymTyme. And so he was like, I'm tired of this. It's hard for me to train my kids without space. So he rented a space and put some mats in it that they could practice. And he called it GymTyme because his original concept was that he could maybe just have this space to provide gym time to people that needed gym time. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool how that worked out. Yeah. And then did you ever do All-Stars there? They didn't have All-Star teams till later, I feel like. Is that right? If I remember correctly.
I want to say they had the 3, like a junior, senior co-ed team when I was in high school. But again, I had just learned a back handspring, so I was not an All-Star. All-Star was very, very, very good cheerleaders, and I was just getting there. But luckily, tumbling came somewhat easy for me. By the time I was graduating high school and preparing to try out at U of L, I was working fulls and standing tucks. And at the time, that was plenty to make a U of L team, which, again, now is not the case. So, I was blessed in that aspect, but it didn't come without hard work. So through high school, I did my Louisville Eastern High School, and then tried out and made the Louisville all-girl team. Second official year that they had an all-girl team.
That is pretty impressive. From 9th grade, freshman learning your back handspring, and then 4 years later, you're throwing tucks and fulls. That's pretty good, because we always say this in our gym. It's hard for the older kids to learn those skills because, life happens, and you get a car, and you get a boyfriend, and you get all these outs, and it's not as fun to be in the gym and work on that stuff anymore.
Yeah,
so, pretty impressive.
Thanks. It was, a little hard work, but sometimes things just are easier for some people.
So Louisville all girl, how many, you do that all 4 years?
Oh, I wish I did. I think what you're talking about, how it usually happens in high school, that got to me in college. I cheered my freshman year, and decided at that point, that was an amazing year. Let me tell you, it was the who's who of Louisville cheerleading. I was a freshman, and I was cheering with the likes of, Rob Ulrich in New York, Tanaz in California was on the co-ed team. There was just a who's who of people who are now still in the industry. Jeff Manhart, gosh, I could go on forever. There were so many of them. And out here I am, I was 17 at the time, freshman. And it was so amazing that first year. And then I got to the end of that year, and I hadn't put the focus on, trying to get through school. Right. So I was having a lot of fun being on the sidelines and enjoying, the experience of All-Star Cheer. And I needed to kind of step back and, look forward to becoming an adult too. So at that point I was coaching. I had started coaching when I was, junior in high school, middle school teams. And I started coaching a small little all-star team. And, that kind of took me through finishing out college, and yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I cheerleading did the opposite for me. I got started later. I did not cheer when I was a freshman, and I had never cheered before, and then I got recruited. But I think cheerleading actually helped me focus on school because I loved it so much. It was the one thing. It's like, all right, I know I have to take this many classes, have this many hours, and pass to be able to hang out with the cheerleaders. So kind of saved my butt because I had found other interests as well early in college. So and the classroom was not one of them.
And that was my struggle that first year. I was like, I want to do everything but go to school right now.
Yeah, I think everybody goes through those learning experiences, those lessons. I think it's important part. It's an important part of growing up. But you figured it out, and you got your nose back in your books, and you graduated, right?
Yeah.
And then where did you go after that?
So after graduation, I did. Through graduation, I kind of stayed in sports. So I worked at the Louisville golf course, the Cardinal Club, doing event planning and coordination. And then my senior year, I actually finished off in the University of Louisville football office. I did a senior assistantship, kind of helping with the recruiting events. So after graduation, I went and I wanted to stay in sales. So I did like a 6-month stint at Pip Printing, selling print. It was not the best. And then I got a call from, I think I found out about it through the grapevine, but my old high school coach, Dan Kessler, and his buddies had started a cheer company in Louisville, and they were hiring for a sales team. They were starting to build out what they had. I think they only had 1, maybe 2 people already, and they wanted to, they were growing. They wanted to continue to expand in that team. So I did an interview with Dan and Emmett and Aaron in April, and had to sell my way through Dan a little bit because he was my high school coach. So started there, worked up through
full circle on the ground floor of Jamfest, helped lay in that foundation, which obviously everybody knows that came on to be something great and big. And then obviously Varsity bought them, and here you are again, full circle on the ground floor, helping to build a foundation of some CX Brands events and MotUS and all the things we're doing. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. You see my friend Jamie. He stays. He's been there for a long time.
Oh yeah, I see that. That's great. That's great. That's a good reminder.
You need to get you lucky to go up
I know,
there.
I do.
Right?
I do need a lucky to add to my.
What's your favorite, like, why sales? What draws you to sales?
I just like connecting with people. I like getting to know people. I like knowing their story, their background, like what they want, what they want to see. And doing that with people who had a similar passion in this industry. And, I came up in kind of a different way, but I still loved the sport. Like I loved what I was coaching at the time. And just connecting with people and then seeing, finding out what they want, connecting them with, this experience. And it's just always been kind of something that was easier for me.
Mm-hmm. We always talk about like introvert, extrovert. I feel like salespeople are typically extroverts. And so essentially it like charges up your battery to talk to people and be around people. And I'm assuming, right? Like it makes you feel energized. And I am the exact opposite. When I spend a day around people and talking and engaging all day, it's great. And I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I am exhausted at the end of that day. I'm like, send me to bed.
I love being around people.
And cheer sales is a totally different animal because you're not just selling, you're also crisis management after you've sold. So like, I'm going to sell you on this. And the reality is like, we all know you go to a cheerleading competition, everybody's hyper competitive. So the only true happy people are the ones that won first place, and they may not be happy because they may not have won by enough, but everybody else, it's AccuScore and what do we do and all of this. So it's not just selling. It's a lot more to it.
You're the person that they go to, right?
Yeah, well, and that's right. You're the face for those people. You're sales, and we were also, as you know, we were Jam Care. We were the sales and customer service, right? So we're just ensuring that everything's rolling smoothly for them. And I can remember working that first Jamfest Super Nationals. I think it was '05 or '06, and all the big names were starting to come. Right, Stingrays were there, World Cup was there. Like it was a big time, and I think we had. I don't know, something happened in the practice area. Everybody got delayed, and oh my gosh, everybody's up in arms because now they've got this weight, right, from practice.
I think I was there for that.
You were, yes. I had a very passionate conversation with Roger.
I think our junior, it wasn't level 6, but our high-level junior team was involved in that.
Yeah,
I love it. A very passionate conversation with Roger, she said.
Very passionate discussion with Roger, yep. But, in the crisis management part, that's also, figuring out how to fix it. Like, how do we make this better? What can we do? Like that, it's also a part of the, what kind of gets me going. It's just makes it a little more exciting for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's so quick. I mean, everything we do, we talk about this all the time in cheerleading, but, it's a 2.5-minute routine, no timeouts, no substitutions. So that's the case with the coaches and the kids, but that's also the case with the event producers. There's like, man, music shut off, the lights went down. Like, there's not a lot of time. Like, you can't stop this thing for an hour or two and fix it. I mean, I guess you can, but it's not going to turn out well. So,
a lot of passionate discussions after that.
Yeah, exactly.
And by passion, she means someone was yelling. I'm just putting it out there.
And that was before AccuScore, right? So there was like that was also part of the job. I was very heavily involved in the Jam brand scoring aspect. When my good friend Jeremy and I, we were really involved in that creation of the Jam brand score sheet with, you get this for doing this and this, like it was very detailed. But that was also a part of it that I loved. They would come to us and we would help them kind of dissect what was happening in the routine, and then how does that correlate to what was supposed to be on the score sheet or what was on the score sheet.
It's crazy. It's so crazy to like think back to the wild, wild west, if you will, and just it was fun. There was a lot of it that was fun, and it was good, I think, and just developed a lot of innovation. And it was cool to see all of that kind of happening. And it was right to come together and move the sport forward and all the things. But just thinking back to those times, it always just makes me chuckle, I guess, just the different floor sizes and the different score sheets and just all the different things.
Everything was different from weekend to weekend. And you would speak with someone like Tara who really wanted to help you, but then you maybe competing on another score sheet that they don't even know the following weekend. So,
yeah. So Tara, what's one memory or experience from your career thus far that you still kind of go back to that, inspires you today or keeps you going today? So,
in high school, I had this coach. I won't say his name. He'll probably call me after he watches this podcast. Actually, my good friend Dan. I mean, we've come a long way since high school, but he was such a good coach. But he always knew how to push me, and he would push me hard. And the old coach saying like, "I push you because I know you can do better things." Like. But and at the time, my 16-year-old self was like, he's just riding me. He doesn't like me. And every time he would push me, like I would excel to a point of like, he would make me do, I don't know, I can't full out at the end of the routine because I did something stupid or whatever, or the end of practice. And I would land my standing tuck, like standing straight up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you that I'm going to do this. And it's going to be perfect. And I go back to that a lot because I'm like, gosh, I mean, he would just push that button and it would just turn me into like, okay, I'm going to work my hardest to get as best as I can right this second. And I look back on that now, I kind of the same way with my kids. I'm like, I'm going to push you because I know what's in there. Like, I know it is in you right now. And regardless if you like me or not at the moment, I'm going to push the buttons that I know that I need to push to get you to do that. And I think about that a lot, just kind of throughout my life, throughout my career. How just, a couple buttons, a couple words can just, flip that switch.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
So interesting. I think about that often. As you know, I have 5 kids. and a lot of wide age spread. So, my oldest are 27 and 25, the girl and the boy. And I was extremely I pushed them in their sports, and probably may have gone overboard a little bit. I remember around 7th grade for my son, there was a family intervention with myself, and hey, you got to lay off, but then and I did. And now it's crazy though, because the way that the two oldest were pushed and raised is vastly different than the way my youngest 11-year-old is, and I don't know what's right and wrong. I mean, still to be determined. I pray that they all turn out great, but really, really different in how we did it, and even in coaching, I'm no longer coaching, but I'm not too, I coached as early as a year ago. It's vastly different today in what pushes the kids than how it was in the early days. Because in the early days, we could lean on the kids a little bit harder, and now you got to employ different techniques. I think many of them are better, So, but yeah, there are people that come into our lives that push us to make us better, and they we talk about setting the foundation. But it sounds like Dan was that for you. At that time, he was pushing your buttons, but he was also kind of molding the person that you are today.
Yeah, I was always tell me I can't do something. And I'm like, watch me show you, it doesn't matter what it is. Like that was always me. Like anybody that was like, oh, you can't do that. Or, I bet you can't do that or whatever. She's not capable of that. I'll be like, oh, I'm not. Watch me. That was always my motivation, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, it was weird. It was funny going to, working for Dan after all, I did some stupid stuff. Like I wasn't always perfect. But going to work for him, and it was like, how have you changed since high school? Tara, how have you changed? Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm an adult now. Come on. Like, we're going to get out of this coaching athlete relationship. But, we worked well together. Like, I could pick at each other or whatever. But yeah, it was, I look back on that and I'm like, he just pushed me. Like he just knew how to push those buttons, but it worked.
I think as a coach myself, it's one of my favorite things to see is my athletes being successful as adults, whether they're mothers or fathers or, out in the workforce or whatever it is that they're doing. I just love, and a lot of them, have come up and worked for us and are still working for us or, whatever the case may be. So it doesn't matter what path they choose. I love watching our athletes kind of grow into adulthood and be adults. And just, I don't know, it's really cool. It's one of my favorite things to see. I love, one of my kids I just saw, and she's not a kid. I mean, she's in her 30s now, but in my mind, she's a kid. But she is in the military and just did some great, fabulous training and broke all of these records for females. And, it just went in boot camp and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, look at you go, girl. Like, that's awesome, and I don't know, there's just story after story like that. And I love seeing them with their kids and their families and just all their success. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that.
That is very cool. We talk about this often. I love the word community, and that was the thing with Stingrays. We wanted to become a household name in our community. And I think we have, and it's a great honor, but we don't go anywhere in our town without running into Stingrays or former Stingrays. Literally, like kids that I've coached have delivered my own children. It's, you can't go into a hospital or a dentist office or a grocery store without running into folks that have come through our program, which is a great thing, to think that that may be one small tool in their toolbox of what helped get them to success.
So, I actually signed up a squad lesson at the gynecologist one day. No lie. I had my Premier shirt on and she was like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm coaching such and such. And I was like, oh, you should come to the gym and take squad lessons.
Have you all started having second generation cheerleaders now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I am very close to third.
Oh
So
my
I was thinking
gosh.
about that. So 2 years ago, I had a second generation kid graduate, and I was thinking, it's like, okay, it's not going to be far before we're at third gen. So
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Tara, we're not that young.
I
So
know.
the answer to that question is definitely yes. So tell me, before we go into our next segment, tell me, you've had, obviously, you've done a lot in the cheerleading industry. You've had a tremendous career, and we're super excited to have you on our team. But what brought you, back to cheer, I guess, and then to our brands?
Yeah. So, when I stepped away from my role at varsity, it was more just my mental state at the time. It was, we had come through COVID, and gosh, COVID was so hard on everybody in our industry,
Oh
right?
yeah.
My kids were super young. They're 10 and 12 now. They were 7 and 9, somewhere around those ages, and just starting to get more involved with sports. And my weekends away were getting harder. We were in Illinois, and no family around. So at that point, I needed to step away and do something different that would give me the ability to get back in the weekend life with my kids, right? So um, a couple years out, I was still in it. My daughter is an all-star cheerleader, so it's not like I was actually.
But we never get rid of it completely. I mean, let's be
right.
honest.
Like, oh, I wasn't going
can't
anywhere.
run from it. Can't hide.
Can't hide. No. And while it wasn't all-star, I was like an assistant director for our little JFL cheerleading program in Illinois. So it was always in my life. Like, cheer's always in my life. And so, yeah, after a couple of years, an opportunity comes up, and I've always missed it. Like, there wasn't a day in the last 2 years that, I didn't say, man, God, I loved what I did in the industry. I loved being a part of it. I loved, talking to everybody and just having that part of my life. And when an opportunity like this comes up, and my kids are a little bit older, yeah, they're still in sports, but they're a little bit more self-sufficient, and it's not as crazy as it was, I feel like, at that time. So the opportunity opens, and I jumped right in.
Well, I know that I speak for our group in this. When we first started talking about that you were even available, I was like, there's no way we can't get her. She's above our level, but we're just so excited to have you on. Hopefully you can see it on my face. We're so excited to have you on board. And because you've done what we're doing. You've been a part of a company that's built from the ground up, and we're just young in this. And like you said, coming out of COVID, trying to build something that's going to be an impact on all of cheerleading to help the sport grow and to ultimately have a big impact on the kids. And like we've all talked about, this has been so important in our lives and so impactful. And much of what we talked about today, all of these kids that have come through our program. And to me, it's important that continues. And I think for that to continue, it has to grow. So
this is a little off topic for our show, typically, Tara, but I just feel compelled because I can relate so much, just the juggling of work and motherhood and just the balance of all the things. And yeah, I was, when you were talking, I was thinking about this weekend that I think I was at CheerSport competing. I don't know, but I was at a competition, and my daughter had a gymnastics meet, and I had to teach her how to do her hair by herself for the first time because I wasn't going to be there. And my husband's like, I can help some, but I'm not, she wanted to have her hair braided and a certain way and up in the ponytail and whatever. And so Dad's like, I can do a ponytail, and that's about all I got. Like, I don't, and so I had to make sure. Right. So she was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 maybe. And I had to teach her and make sure she could do her hair by herself. And I remember sitting in the back of the arena at whatever competition I was at, and just tears rolling down my face.
Yeah. Savannah's gotten to the point, she's like, can I come with you? Like, I mean, she's an all-star cheerleader. She likes being around things at the events. Like, she's like, put me to work. I just want to come. I want to come with you. And I'm like, one day, girl, we'll get there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Avery's actually come and worked a few events when she was a little bit younger. She may come and work some this year. We'll see, now that she is technically legally an adult. But she was, I don't know, 16 or 17, and she came and worked a few events in the warm-up room and had a good time. And she's, but it's hard. It's hard. I think the mom guilt is real, and it takes you down sometimes, and it's really hard to juggle all the things, and just, you want to be there for your kids. You want to, you have to be a wife and a mom and business and all. It's tough to juggle all the time.
Yeah.
I think.
I am not a mom, but I do understand. I mean, those are things that I question as my kids have gotten older. Like I said, my oldest two are 27 and 25, and my relation, one's a girl who cheered and one is a boy who did not cheer. Like my oldest son, he didn't go to a cheerleading competition, I think, until he was like 15 years old. And then I remember that, like, we took him to Orlando. It's like first one ever at 15. And this is kind of our family business. And he's like, yeah, I don't like this. So, but my relationship is vastly different with those two, and that's something that I'm working on today, because my daughter and I kind of grew up together. We were leaving the gym at 11 o'clock or going to staff dinners together after, like, she was there when we were trying to start this business, and my son wasn't. He didn't cheer, and thank goodness my wife was able to, to be able to do his things. But I missed out a lot, in his younger years, and my other son, he's 20, so about to be 21, and they are really, really close and tight with their mom, and I'm a little bit tighter with the girls because of what we did. So.
Yeah. I tell myself that maybe they see all of the hard work and the dedication, and maybe that will translate at some point later on in life. I don't know.
So that I don't know if that's my rationale as well, but my boys are very entrepreneurial. They are like, they're doing their own thing. They're outside of the norm. They're not trying to, it's not, which is exactly what I did. I mean, I was 40 years old before my parents stopped asking me when I was going to get a real job, and they're kind of doing those same things of, just doing something that's a little bit outside of the box. So,
right. That we as the elders don't understand. Right. And you're like, is that going to really make a living? Like, are you going to really be able to make a living doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's great. I mean, my mom to this day, I just can't believe you made it a career out of cheerleading. Like that you just kept doing the cheer thing. Like, but this is where you are now. Like,
it's funny. I have a lot of my mom in me. And when I was growing up, Casey, it was very similar. My dad had a sheet metal fabrication business, and he was at work a lot. I mean, there was definitely days where he wasn't even home for dinner. He would be there till 2-3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, come home, go to bed, get up at 7 or 8 the next morning and be back at work, or be back at work by 7 or 8 the next morning. And that wasn't all the time, but it was some of the time. And he was not at, every single sporting activity that I did. As I got as I got towards high school, I feel like he started getting a little bit more involved, but, elementary school, middle school, anything that I did, like, I don't even remember him being at those activities. And as I got older, like I said, he started to be a little bit more involved. But now I look back and I'm like, man, like, my work ethic is like, I get that from him, and my entrepreneurial spirit and all the things that I do, like 100%, like, I mean, all of that was kind of ingrained in me, and just the sheer, like, some days you just have to get the job done, period. Like,
y'all want to eat.
Some days that's right. Some days that's 13 hours worth of work, just because that's what today calls for. And tomorrow, maybe you get to do 0 hours worth of work. But for today, like, the job needs to get done, and that's it, and that was kind of my dad. He was like, these parts, I mean, it's different. It's not cheerleading, but he's like, these parts have to get out. And he had to previously had to lay people off or whatever, and the work's got to get done. Or sometimes it was just that they had more work than they could handle. Somebody's got to do it, and so he would be there getting it done. My brother was very much involved in a lot of that too, and did a lot of the same thing. And here I am. I'm like, my dad, I know there's a piece of him whose heart is broken, that none of his 3 children like kind of took on that business and continued with it. And I try to tell him all the time, I'm like, Dad, I know that hurts your heart, but I am doing exactly what you taught me to do, just in a space that I like doing. I'm sorry. I don't want to bend metal.
Sheet metal.
No, I don't. I'm not. I don't get all jazzed up about sheet metal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my son said something to me a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, he understands now, because my wife is like the glue. She is the one that demands you guys are coming home for Thanksgiving. We're doing this family vacation. Like, she demands that. And my son, he's growing a business, and he was kind of venting to me a little bit. He's like, Mom really wants me to come to this whole thing. He said, but I can't. Like, I have to bottle, like he does these car products. I have to bottle this stuff. We were talking about that because early in their childhood, I didn't go on vacation. They went, but I didn't go because I couldn't. I say I couldn't. I wouldn't leave the business. I was growing this business, and I was growing this thing, and he gets it now, and he understands because he's doing the exact same thing. So, that's the thing. We do often have an influence on our kids, even when we're not directly right there, because they see what we're doing.
So that's what I hope. That's what I hope and pray for. I don't know.
We all do. Hey, I think it's time for a dad joke. What do you think?
I think
break
it
up a little bit before our next segment here, and hear a little bit more from Tara. So, y'all ready?
We're ready.
Ready.
What do you call a sad strawberry? What do you call a sad strawberry?
I don't know.
A blueberry.
Ba-dum-bum.
I was just thinking about blueberries.
Dad jokes.
What's that?
Do you come up with your own dad jokes, or do you
I am not allowed to write my own material.
Oh my God.
Stacy doesn't allow that.
So here's the thing, Tara. We're gonna tell everyone the truth, because Kevin especially likes to pick on how he's not allowed to tell his own dad jokes. But I think Casey actually would bring some dad jokes to the commercial, to the podcast. At the end of the day, they're both happy that I just send them a plan in their inbox, and they don't have to actually spend any time looking at it. But you know what, Casey, if you want to bring your own dad jokes, you go right ahead, and I'll stop researching them.
You know what? I'll send them to you.
Approval first. It has to be approved first.
Perfect. I love it.
Terry, you need to get in on some of mine and Stacy's. I don't know, 8:00, 8:30 at night. We're sending each other silly TikToks. So,
I love it.
Maybe dad jokes, maybe whatever.
Could be whatever. Casey and, or not Casey, Kevin and Cole don't have TikTok, so they can't watch the TikToks. So when Casey and I find funny TikToks, we share them with each other. And oftentimes we get dad jokes in our TikToks now because of the podcast. And, our phones are always listening to everything that we say.
Big Brother's always there. So.
Yeah. So we get dad jokes now in our TikTok. But I love the ones that are motivational, but it's I can't even say it on the podcast, but it's some 4-letter words and good morning glitter biscuit or something like that. And it's go attack your day, whatever. So I'll send those to him sometimes 8 a.m. and then he sends me the oh my God, why can't I think of the painter's name, Casey? It's escaping me. Bob. Is it Bob?
Yeah, Bob Ross.
Bob Ross. But
AI is doing all this Bob Ross and
it's so scary. I know our topic today is not AI, but my gosh, I'm we're not going to, I think we're a year away, just a year away from, we're not going to be able to trust anything literally that we watch without seeing it in person with our own eyeballs. We're going to have to retrain ourselves. Yeah, it is. Cause I feel like we've always been kind of, at least my mom always taught me, unless you see it with your own eyes or hear it with your own ears, don't assume that it's the truth, don't judge kind of thing. And just, whatever. And now I feel like you can't, that's not even true. You can see it with your own eyes and hear it with your own ears, and it's not real.
Yeah.
I really try to remind myself on a daily basis of not become that angry old man that doesn't trust anything that the new generation's doing. We hate their music. We hate all that. So I'm really trying to embrace it. And I used it last night. I just had all this blood work done and through this company, and they ran these 50 different tests, and I got all this in, and half of it I don't know what it is. I put all that in Chat GPT, and it told me what it was and now I'm trusting that it was correct, but then it even came out like, hey, if you made these minor adjustments to your diet, then this number would come down and da-da-da-da-da. And it was like instant, 30 seconds,
That's crazy.
Well, my kids will bring like a video of something like, Mom, watch this. And I'm like, there's no way that's real. That's not real. It can't be real. But it looks so real.
So real.
Yeah. It's really scary.
The scary part though is how, the part that I worry about is our news media, either side. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, like just being able to influence and make things look absolutely real, or they see it and everybody takes it for real, so that can be a little scary.
Yeah, for sure.
But coming. It's coming. It's not, it's not going anywhere. So we better learn how to use it. If not, it's going to get,
I am constantly like, I've started using it for work a ton. Anything I can do to make things easier. Just the other day we were talking and Jenna was like, talking about sending these individual emails for registrations. And I was like, do we really feel like that's necessary? That's super time consuming. And she was kind of like, yeah, I do. I think it is. And I left the meeting that day and went home and I was like, there's got to be a better way. Like that's not a good use of her time. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, ChatGPT, let's figure this out. And I was going to use ChatGPT to write some type of system that we could plug the information into the Google Doc and it would like spit out the email. Anyway, my way was harder, but I shared with Jenna, I'm like, hey, I'm working on a solution for you for ChatGPT. And then the next day she messaged me, she's like, I got to figure it out. So she just like puts all the information in ChatGPT and then it gives her all the individual emails and she just copies and pastes them, which was way simpler than what I was trying to do. Like I was trying to write a program essentially to make it happen and ChatGPT just did it for her. But now we have a way and it's done and it's going to be simple and easy for the girls, for Abby and Jenna both to do that. So I'm constantly like trying to remind myself because we're old school and we're used to doing everything ourselves, and so anytime I get to something that's taken me a little bit longer than I really wanted to, I'm like, wait a minute, ChatGPT. Let's see if it can do this. I should show you the picture. So I needed a picture of Mike Martinez for one of the red carpet photos, like way back when we did the Pioneer book launch. And I cropped it out of a picture from on because I kept asking him, hey, I need you to send me a picture. And he didn't. And so I went online and stole one from his Facebook, but it was like with his family. So I had to crop his family out. And then he didn't have an arm because his arm was like behind a family member. So I fed the picture to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to make an arm for me. And it came back. I have no idea why it did this. It was hysterical. It came back. It was like the Winter Soldier from Avengers. And it was like this maniacal silver arm. And I was like, I should totally use this just for the heck of it. I didn't anyway. I don't think I even sent it to Mike. I sent it to Cole that we got a good laugh out of it. Anyway, back on the ranch. So welcome to the team, Tara. We've just thrown a bunch of stuff on your plate. How are you managing and what's your biggest priority right now?
I feel like there's a lot of them. So, one,
we're all over the place.
Welcome to the group.
I feel like I'm a ping pong these days. I'm like, it's squirrel all the time. There's so many squirrels right now. So, priorities one is focus on our events, right? So getting our group of experts, getting to know them and, trying to kind of figure out where we are with our events and what we can do to attract more people and grow those to be, obviously larger. And then looking forward to the Prime All-Star finale at the end of the season and trying to make sure that we're promoting that and working with our Prime Alliance members. That's top priority, right? But then you get in the weeds and it's like, well, I also want to help us work better as a group. So like fixing some processes, helping standardize some things, moving into what I'm excited about in HubSpot and having, a way for us to really dive in and see all of our information in one spot. And that just, the efficiencies and the automations and just trying to help us work smarter. And helping to grow it.
I love it all. I think
that's the thing I'm most excited about watching you is especially with the sales processes, because although I'm not involved in that and I'm not too much into the sales piece, Kevin does such a great job of it. But Kevin and I are old men, so Kevin knows everybody's doing it straight out of his phone, so can't share that with anybody else. It's hard to teach somebody heck, his phone doesn't even work for him. He can't share it with somebody else. So super excited that you're able to help our other salespeople and really build out something that's going to be, I think, impactful for many other people and even employees that we don't even currently have, that just building those systems that multiple people can easily.
I am so excited to have someone else on the team that is capable of doing those things, kind of training up the next generation, leading the charge of what is the system and the process going to look like. And it doesn't have to, you can tell me, we can bounce ideas off, but I didn't have to create it. I didn't have to come up with it, at least in a couple pockets of the company. That's amazing. That's so amazing. And it's important. It's so important. All of those things, for all of our business owner listeners out there, having good systems and processes are very important. But I know firsthand, it's hard to do all of that, when as one, person, which Tara, I'm sure you've already seen so far too, from the time that you've been here, but we do our best to empower everybody to be part of that process as well. Hey, we're new. And as we're building, speak up. What are your ideas? What do you need? And then, all right, let's make that the system or the process. Or I'm I think there's a better way. Let's figure that out and then make that the system or the process, So, yeah. But it's just great to have you on the team and be able to just, like you said, watch you do your thing. And I'm yay.
I'm excited. And I love, I was listening to the MotUS podcast before this even became a thing, right? I haven't really been in All-Star Cheer the last couple of years, but everything would spark my interest. I'm gosh, that just makes so much sense to have this group that's helping our gym owners just think about the business side of things, right? So, we can be passionate about cheer, but running a gym is completely different than just coaching. And to have the resources and, even going back to, being a director for a little sideline JFL, cheer, you need that template, something that I'm gosh, I have to recreate the wheel every single time I do this, or just having that group of people you can call and say, how did you do this? Give me some tips. It was, and even before it became an opportunity, I was already seeing wow, this is a great thing for the industry.
Well, you mentioned gym owners, and it's tough. It's really tough, especially when you're small, because you feel man, I can't afford these systems. I can't pay somebody to do them. And I often argue that you can't afford not to do them. But that is the whole premise of MotUS. A lot of people have already developed this, so there's no reason to start from scratch. You may need to tweak it to fit what you're doing, but take our years of experience as well as others. So, and I think people are truly starting to buy into that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of been one of my favorite things. When in the Facebook group, when somebody's hey, I'm trying to think of a
trunk or treat, I think was the recent one.
Yes. Okay. So, hey, does somebody have a Halloween activity or a trick or treat, something or other or whatever? And it's my favorite thing when I'm we don't have that actually in the vault, or they ask typically if it exists in the vault. And it's my favorite thing to go, you know what, it doesn't, but I know this member does it because I saw them, and then we get them involved, and then they share the material with us, and then we add it to the vault, and it just grows and grows. And it really is just a collection of gym owners kind of helping each other out and and we all making each other better.
We all need the kids to stay in the sport, right? So gym owners need other gym owners to stay in business. If you don't have other people to compete against, then what's the point, right? You want to go to a competition, you want to have deep divisions, you want to have people to compete against, and to help the gyms thrive and grow. That's best for the whole industry.
I think that's a great point, Tara, and that's something that I always talk about, with our Marietta gym, sort of the Atlanta community, from the early days, people are trying to do this and trying to be big and shut other gyms down. Never my intentions. I want all of the gyms to grow and to succeed. And that's something that I'm really proud of. I didn't do it. That's something I'm really proud of our Atlanta area. We have got many gyms that are thriving, that are literally full. And I think that's important because if Home Depot and Lowe's do not open up across the street from each other to put each other out of business. That's not why they do that. So, and I think it's very much the same thing in the gym industry. And I think it's taken a while to get there. When we first started out, there was a lot of animosity and, people kind of fighting it out in town. So, but now I think it's a little bit different. I think people are ready to like, hey, let's work together and grow this. There's enough to go around. And the reality is that sometimes people want what someone else offers, and, the kids are very important and the families are very important. We build these relationships and, but just like any relationship I build, if I can't provide what they need and someone down the street can, then by all means, So I think we're at a different spot in the industry.
So, Tara, you have been a leader, throughout your career in a lot of different ways and mentoring, other sales members. You're a leader, for us in our organization now. So what is, share for our listeners and our gym owners and other people out there who are leading, what your philosophy is and just how you mentor. What advice, would you give to mentor and guide people?
So in my prior role, we actually did this leadership, you do like those employee surveys where it kind of tells you your personality style.
We've
so this
done
is
those.
One that was similar to that. Yeah, like a leadership style, right? So what came back for me was transformational leader. And what that is, I like to jump into my team and what's working, what's not working. How can we make this better? Again, it goes back to like the processes, the X's and the O's of, if it's not working, then let's dive in, let's figure it out. Let me help you grow. Let me help you find the resources. Let me help you make that first call or provide you with what is it that you're missing that's holding you back? Or what do you need to help you grow? I think it's, coaches have, they're all leaders, right? They're leaders on their team. And you lead different people to what they need, right? Just like you coach somebody differently based on.
Yeah, you have to meet them where they are.
Right, exactly. So like I needed my buttons pushed. Like that was what got the best out of me as an athlete. And there's some employees that work the same way. Like I need to call you out and let you know that I see like what's happening and I know you can do better for them to succeed. So the leading a team in business is a lot like coaching a team in the gym. Getting to know your people and understanding what makes them tick, what motivates them. You have somebody that's very money motivated. I'm like, they're gonna make all the calls they want them to make if they see the return on the end. And others are more connections. Like they want to feel the positive praise. It's just finding out what really is effective for each person, and then making sure that that's how you're building them up.
I agree. I love those tests. I think some companies take them to an extreme sometimes, but I think it's important to know, what makes people on your team tick, and it helps you work with them better and understand that like, okay, they need this and I need this, and we're just two different people, and that if you give them what they need, they'll do a little bit better, and that's really all you're trying to do at the end of the day, right? And sometimes you don't know that because it's like it's not the same as love languages, but it is kind of a similar type of concept, right? Like everybody's got their love language, and just because yours is one thing doesn't mean that that's what your partner's is. So you got to kind of learn each other. And I agree. Do you remember the name of the test or what that was yeah.
I cannot.
Man, it took me a while to figure out that the world didn't revolve around me. As a young man,
did you have to take a test to find that out?
Yeah. As a young man, I would often be like, man, this is what motivates me. This is what pushes me. I couldn't understand why it wasn't the same for others. But I mean, you just talked about that. Like what makes someone else strive to be their best isn't, heck, I think I probably first figured that out in my marriage, because that's the thing of what makes me happy doesn't necessarily make my wife happy.
Yeah.
But first of all, if I'm going to be a part of her happiness, I have to know what makes her happy, and I think that's the thing with leadership is identifying the people that you're trying to lead and what you said it, Tara. What do you need? What do you need to be able to do your job the best? And I think,
I think helping the employees understand that too. Like, I remember I did this activity with our premier managers. We used to do like several retreats a year. And so we would come together and I did this class and it was all about perspective. And I'm sure you guys remember this online. It was the gold and white or blue and black dress or whatever. And I remember, it was several different activities like that. I would put them up on the projector screen and, they would write down in the beginning, everybody was quiet and they would write down if they saw the white and gold or the blue and the black. And then it was, do you see a candlestick or do you see two women facing each other? Do you see, a tree or do you see an elephant? I don't remember all the different things. There was like 10 of them. And you're so convicted in your answer, that you're like, or I think there was a sneaker, it was pink or gold, and when they started reading out their answers and recognizing how different like everybody was, and they were going to die on the hill that dress was gold and white. Like that's what they saw with their own eyes. And this person over here is like, no, it's blue and black. Like, how do you see gold and white? I don't understand. And they start kind of like passionately discussing,
fighting is the word.
Correct. And arguing. And then it was kind of like, okay. And of course, because we've all worked together for a really long time, like I let it escalate on purpose. And then I was like, do you guys see how, like, with any situation, there's multiple perspectives in the same situation? And I think that was an eye-opening experience for all of us, myself included, that like you've got to help. Not only do you have to recognize that as a leader, but I think helping others to see it as well helps them become better coworkers and better people, because they're like, wow, you do see it this way. Like sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, or, we still have to climb the mountain. Right. So let's just grab hands and get the job done, and that was a really eye-opening experience.
Yeah. What are we willing to go to battle for too?
Right. Right.
We've had some of those experiences in our company of like, I remember a little argument trying to come up with core values because different people are strong and like, no, it needs to be this. No, it needs to be this, and then what are we willing to go to battle for? So, and is it worth it?
All right, Tara, we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. So just answer as best you can, as quick as you can. They're simple and easy. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Your favorite cheer event of all time?
All right, I would normally say Jamfest Cheer Supernationals because it's amazing, but I go back to the Jamfest event that we used to host outside at Slugger Field in Louisville, Kentucky. It was a baseball field. It was just so much fun to be outside on the field to kick off the season.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you that same question a year from now after you've been to some of our events. All-star or school cheer?
All-star.
Dream travel destination for a cheer competition?
Oh, I missed out on all of the Jamfest Europe events, but I really, really wanted to go to Sweden.
Very cool. What's your coffee order on a busy event weekend?
Iced Americano with pumpkin spice if it's the fall, and 2 Splendas.
Casey, what's your coffee drink on an event
Black
weekend?
coffee.
Black coffee.
Black coffee.
Mine right now is the pumpkin chai latte, the iced pumpkin chai latte with the cold.
See, I have to get iced. Once it gets cold, from hot to cold, like I don't like it. But if it's iced and starts cold, I'm good. Everybody
makes fun of me. I could literally be out 100-degree baseball game watching my kids, and I'm drinking hot black coffee. But I literally drink 2 liquids. That's it. I drink water and black coffee. Those are the only 2 things that I drink at all.
I drink water and tea basically, and I will have a coffee every now and again that I've started occasionally having a little bit here and there, but very, very seldom. I used to have 3 cups of coffee every morning.
Oh, I try to have a gallon of each every day, a gallon of black coffee and a gallon of water.
A gallon of water. I love it.
I go to the restroom a lot.
One word to describe your vision for MotUS in 2026.
Oh gosh. Growth. I mean, the more gym owners that we can get to take part in the MotUS group, the better it's going to be, right? So gym owners from all demographics, of all facility types, there's somebody out there like you trying to do the same thing. So just the growth of membership to pull in more of the industry.
I love it.
I answered that in my head. We had the same. That's what I came up with.
Awesome. All right. Growth it is. Let's do it. I love that. Okay. So every episode, Tara, we allow our guests to ask a question to our listeners. So what question would you like to ask our listeners today?
That's a tough one. Okay. So I would ask if there was one thing that you would like to see at end of season events. Gosh, they're everywhere, right? Like they're everywhere. But like, what would make your season end in a way that would get you excited for the next season? Like, what would it be that would make that event memorable?
Okay, guys, you heard the question. So what would make your end of season event most memorable? Be sure to go to our social media at Join MotUS and find today's podcast post and comment the answer to Tara's question. While you're there, be sure to hit that follow button. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment the answer to your question right there. Casey, before I wrap us up, do you want to tell us a little bit about CheerFest?
I would love to. It is about time to start talking about CheerFest, one of my favorite weeks of the year. So if you're looking for the ultimate cheer camp experience, CheerFest is the premier summer camp for athletes ages 7 to 17. Imagine 6 days of nonstop cheer, dance, tumbling, conditioning, and fun led by top instructors from across the country. And the best part? You leave with new skills, new friends, and memories that last a lifetime. Spots are filling fast, so register now at cheerfest.com. That's CheerFest.com. Don't just cheer this summer, CheerFest.
Tara, it was so great to have you on and be with us here today. It's so great to have you on our team as well. So thank you. Thank you for hopping on the podcast.
So excited about all of it.
Thank you very much.
For our listeners out there, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the MotUS Edge. Check out our shorts, like, and comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, or X at Join MotUS. Follow our show wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a comment and tell all of your friends. And hey, if you're a gym owner, join the movement and sign up for MotUS today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we're excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.